Turned my head and the vibration was going that way, and I felt myself start to fade with the vibration. It's like, no, I got to be here. Well, haven't really broadcast in a minute. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. This is Pontiac, also known as Eight Wind, also known as the Time Lord. Really, I am the holder of the sacred ball game created by the Hero Twins, and I am the Galactic Daddy-O. Thank you all for coming on the Galactic Patio. Smoke them if you want them. Pop them if you got them. What's happening, Conspiracy University, Mr. Taylor, Pale Horse Rider, Crazy Sarge, what is happening? Derek, what is happening? Really, come on. I took a little bit of notes, but I didn't take a whole lot of notes. It was interesting watching. I want to start off talking about the Tuck Rule 30 for 30 that just went off. It was interesting. One thing they showed, and even Woodson said, it was a tough your senior year in college. I want to say Woodson was a junior when Brady came in. It kind of, well, he said for 3 years, so maybe they was the same age. I'm not really sure. But Tom did say he saw it for 3 years. But then Tom said something about when he was 17. So I think Tom might have been a little younger than Woodson. But they showed a picture, and they showed 4 Michigan quarterbacks, and they showed the dude behind Brady, and that was Drew Henson. And Drew Henson, Brady would start the game, Drew Henson would play. Remember, Greasy was older than Brady, and Greasy took him to a Rose Bowl and won. So Greasy was the quarterback. Brady's first couple years. So Brady was, but that play showed it more than anything. But it's a mocking if you look at all of it. And this is the one thing for those that watched it, the one tell that shows early in the video. And this is the tell. So they show Brady in that game after the Tuck Rule running a touchdown from about the 5, I think they said. He runs it into the end zone, okay? Well, they kept showing, if you notice, they showed the rivalry because the Patriots went from one of the worst teams going into the merger who started competing. And you can see how they built them up. I want to say they lost to the Bears in the '85 Super Bowl. So they were building that organization up. You could see how they were building it up. But the play that they mocked with, so Brady runs it in from the 5. And as I was saying, the whole time they comparing the different errors. And they show Ken Stabler do the same play. Ken Stabler ran it from close in. And I'm like, wow, they really showing you. They really showing you part of the script. Ken Stabler they tried to show where it was a bad call against Ken Stabler in another game. I mean, it was just funny the way they were trying to turn this thing about the tuck rule. Hey, James, thank you for joining. Tom is younger than Woodson. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. How do they script these games? It's deeper than people being on just technology. Well, the brother asked the question is like, he was trying to put together Kobe Bryant's going to high school, named after, these certain Jesuits, and how did Spalding basketballs, things that was created 60, 80 years later, how do they put all this together? And again, if you look, like I said, a time lord, a true time being, this is nothing to put together. They have nothing but time. And again, remember, time is a thing where you can look at both. It ain't a stagnant thing. So this is how this is done. But I mean, just to simply answer your question, to simply answer it is, they look at the money. That's how they do. They look at the money. And now the money is involved in every aspect, not just the over-under. I mean, every play you can bet on. Now, they've been doing this for a long time. Like I point to the 1933 NFC Championship game where they just happened to show a film in a picture that the dude with the helmet, the last dude who don't wear a helmet, that he throws the winning pitch. Do you understand this? You can look this up. I'll grab my book. Those you ain't seen it, I'll bring the picture back up here. This is how long they've been doing this. What is that? What is the odds of that play? And then you can turn to a Marx Brother movie, a Three Stooges movie made almost the same way, and they show a very similar play. So, I mean, that's where the betting, where the betting is almost, the betting odds, I'll say this, the betting odds become, well, they like when they're thin. And again, the way you can minute bet, I mean, you can constantly bet on every play. Those bets are really how it makes them work a little harder than before. But again, they had a long time preparing for this. So they was doing this even before they was allowed to do it. They was running these scripts on how these bets going to go, what's the odds. So they practiced this before it becomes law, and they're able to put it in. So this Tom Brady, and they say it too. They say it in this series that if Tom Brady, and they was like, nobody wanted to say it. If Tom, I've said this, and those of you can watch videos from this channel a year or so ago, because this channel's going on a year or about a year now. And where I said, if Tom Brady fumbles, he does not start and turn into the Tom Brady that he became. But they had it all scripted. They had it all picked, and you can watch. And one thing to pay attention to is you see the rise of the Patriots. Because I want to say the Patriots didn't start until the 65-66 season. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. I should grab the book to see. Maybe somebody could see. But they could be, because they was the Boston Patriots. And you saw them rise, making it up to 85. I think that was their first Super Bowl, the 85 Super Bowl. Steve Grogan, and it was a dude my age. Because, my senior year, all them quarterbacks, Jim Kelly and Marino and all them, and he was one of them dudes. And I can't think of their quarterback's name, but he was my age. Ely. That's all I'm picking up is Ely. I can't think of Kevin Ely maybe. But, like, he brought him back that season. And the playoff games, and then they get in a little trouble with the Bears. He puts Grogan back in. Easley, maybe he was a European Easley. Can't think of it. But it's a mocking from start to finish. It's a mocking of showing you when they, because the thing is like when everything changed. Well, if when you saw the Tuck rule, if you didn't really, or even once you like sports, if you didn't study the Tuck rule, you would have no idea that this thing is fixed the way it is. But the Tuck rule proves that no matter, like they had days after that, he was trying to get people to describe that day. Because if I remember right, that was a Saturday game. And so they had next Sunday. Sunday was the next day they had games. Pittsburgh must have played somebody. So they was trying to give excuses. And I remember watching one dude, and the dude explained the rule. And the rule, what he explained, the commentator hit him back with, well, you just explained it was a fumble. And the guy really couldn't say nothing because the guy explained it. Oh, and the commissioner now, Goodell, whatever his name is, he is the one that came up out of the office, the commissioner's office, Pat Goodell or whatever, Goodell, he's the one that came up with the Tuck rule. And you hear the referee say he never did a Raiders game again, but he ends up doing a ton of Patriot games. And then they caught Belichick on a hot mic. Happy to have that dude. So it was a mocking. It was a pre-Super Bowl mocking. That's why they put it on Sunday. They showing everybody that it is scripted and it's up to you to get the information tonight. The Patriot Act. The Patriots win it all. 911 when the buildings went down too. It was the same thing. Like we saw the same script in New Orleans. Katrina crashes New Orleans, and New Orleans wins one. It was the same way, because as I said before, they really don't like new teams. They really don't like new teams to win it. But you could see that was coming. And when you looked at that game with the Colts hadn't won it before either, though. Not that Colts organization. The Ravens won it before, but that organization technically hadn't won it, not from being in Indianapolis. So they hadn't won it either. Hey, Ciova. Well, you got to look at it like this. With the Pro Bowl, you got to look at it like this. The players took over the Pro Bowl a couple years ago. And it was like it was a back that played in New England that had started and made the Pro Bowl. I don't think he made an all-pro team, but he had made the Pro Bowl. And he was just fucking around with some sand football, and he killed his knee. It took him 3 or 4 years, and he did play a couple years after he came back. But the one year, Chad Allen from here, I can't remember what year that was, but it was maybe 15, 16, where they played touch. And it made Goodell go crazy. Goodell went crazy over that. But the players had to, because, and then the following year, it was one play where, because teams pick teams, it was like they let people pick players. So there was these two teammates. And one teammate in the next year, the offensive teammate got the ball and ran it, and his teammate smacked him like knockout hard. I mean, it was like a little bit over the top, too hard to hit. Very similar to what was done to Brown when the Bengal dude hit Brown. I mean, it was a very, but it didn't knock the dude out. But it was like they was teammates, and you could see where the following year they was like, y'all better tackle and stuff. But it's better. I mean, it's all-star game. It is the only all-star game. Well, for league, like when Jim Brown talks about them playing in the all-star game, where they needed that $500. $500 was like 10, back then in the mid 60s. And so they it was a benefit, a real benefit as far as the economy. But since then, it's a glorified all-star game. You get a ring, both sides get a ring for being in it. And you can always call yourself, Pro Bowl. Not all pro, but Pro Bowl. Well, it's like NBA All-Star, it goes forever. So I saw Mahomes throw the pick six. And then what's funny is Renfro was with him, and Renfro is faster than the dude who got, but it was Winfield from here. It was Winfield from the Gophers. Winfield from the Gophers got a pick six of Mahomes, and that's all I watched. I watched the T-Wolves win. That's why I did that little bit of stuff at Edwards. But that's why, in a way, like I really don't need the NBA package because they show all the Timberwolves games. And then TBS games, ESPN games. It's like Saturday be about Friday, Saturday might be the only game day I can't really watch NBA unless I had the package. That was the punter that got folded. Oh, okay. That was the punter. The Kobe script is my favorite. Haven't watched a Pro Bowl game in years. They need more money on the line to make it watchable. Well, I mean, it's just the risk ain't really worth it. Really, they should just play 7-on-7 to me. You know, it's not risking getting hurt. Most of the other All-Star games, there's really almost minimum risk to get hurt. This one, there's a lot of risk. Like when I say about Jim Brown and them playing and needing that $500, you got buckets on the other side. I mean, you had some people that still would put it on you. In old football, it's nothing like what they do now. Like I was saying, when I got a little sick and was up in the hospital and just watching an old Michigan game from the 80s, this is after I played. Football was different. It's not the same product. I mean, one thing you heard in college was just cronk, 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 cronk. Every play you heard just pads. And I forgot that that's what games used to sound like. It has changed so much. But I forgot that's what it used to sound like. That's what football used to sound like. It used to sound like all that hitting. And as I go back to an article from Sports Illustrated, maybe done in the 80s, early 90s, a lot of the things really haven't. The only thing that really has played is the technology of the gloves. And it speaks a little bit of this, that some type of homing gloves, I think it even says magnetically attracted. I haven't been able to find that article again. Again, I'm not a great Google searcher. I'm more books. But yeah, that article, it was even talking about ways that would enhance when people would jump. Like there would be things in the legs where would enhance people to jump. So we see that they like you again, how they plan this stuff. I mean, what did Elijah Muhammad said, and a few others said that there was books in the Library of Alexandria that you know did the books of the past, the known past at that time, and wrote books of the future. And a couple others say this. That is almost like they try to say it's somewhat in the fates because it's written. Doesn't necessarily. I mean, it changes. It'll change right on the page. I mean, shit. You don't think what goes on now, like they do events now that erase that shit or change that shit. So, football sound like straight up gunshots when guys hit hard enough. I don't know. You know, it's just. The problem is people are indoctrinated, and being indoctrinated means you believe in the thing. You believe in the script. We got to be living in a rigid, fluid, somewhat. I would say somewhat. Yeah, somewhat. There's a consciousness that does seem to push everything. And I'm not saying the God consciousness, but I'm saying there's a thing that does seem to be able to even move it. And when it makes mistakes, like today, I saw a clear mistake. I saw a cutout that should have been a person. When I first looked, as I was driving, I saw a cutout. It wasn't even, and it wasn't from being so far away and wearing glasses. I saw shapes. And I was like, I nobody driving. I'm driving fairly slow. And then as I get there, I mean, this thing didn't move. And I mean, microseconds, seconds, it ain't moving. And of course, I get up there, it becomes solid. But it was a lady so stuck in her fold and the dog wasn't even moving, which was interesting. As I came upon it, the dog wasn't even moving. Hey, what's happening, Conley? like, I'll say this, Derek. Like, why? Who cares? Like, I guess a lot of people care. I've never watched his stuff other than maybe a few minutes on Facebook, like minutes. So I really have no real opinion on something that is obviously distraction. I mean, what happens is people think that it's a source out there because they put out so much information, and positive at times, that it's believable that they are working for your good. And apparently a lot of people must feel that. You know, most people must feel that. Larry Johnson don't get that deep into it. Not really. Not really. Especially when Zach asked Larry Johnson a couple years ago, was his college game is rigged? Or no, he asked him, was his pro games rigged? And Larry said he didn't think so. So yeah. No, most decoders have Bengals winning it. Wow. Football being played when you heard, y'all. Hey Ben, what's happening? So I don't know. I don't really pay attention to distractions. It doesn't really, like, every time it seemed like he's involved in something, it's to take you away from what you're doing. It's a lot of that. And it's so many different ways. I mean, even just the phones. Hey, PJ. Well, the one dude who got the interceptions, he told some of the truth. I wonder, and this is the thing. This is the thing. Here I am pushing spells. Sorry about that. But this is something to consider. Like the guy who played with Tampa Bay that came out. One thing I wonder, and this is just telling the whole story, was he still, or was he ever NFL pension eligible? Now, if he played enough years in the NFL, which I think it's 4, I just don't study that part. I should, but I don't. Is Larry Johnson? Did Larry Johnson get those years in? Because Kwame Brown sure ain't talking about the fix. Because Kwame Brown hit 50. He started drawing from his pension. So they don't talk about that. I meant to ask you, how does Ambassador Lipshagen go back and grip gloves? What year for both since it started? I really think the first time they had hoops they could manipulate, or even the first shot they could manipulate, was Don Nelson's shot in the 68-69 Celtics-Lakers when the Celtics beat the last Bill Russell team. So, yeah, the Celtics beat Wilt, hurt Elgin Baylor, and Jerry West. But they had them. They was up. Yeah, the Lakers should have won that. That was heavily fixed, so the Celtics could win. Because remember, Bill was the coach and the player. Quick fast. He said on Zach's channel that he beats matrix flows through the players in the game. He said he's never been in a rigid game knowingly. Yeah, Larry did. Yeah, he said he said he didn't think so. But Larry played at a big college where games was fixed. He ain't talk about that. College games been fixed longer than you remember. The college game is older than the pro game. It wasn't until Red Grange in the mid-20s that made, really, when Red Grange went pro, that's what made the NFL. So college football has always been more popular. And of course, the movies would show how it's fixed and the players was getting paid and stuff. I mean, World War II, they was letting grown-ass men play college after World War II. Look up Army with Doc and Davis. These dudes was in the war. They had all these football players that was playing from 25 to 30 for 4 years. Now, I don't know how long that group played football, but that was a group of players that came from Europe and fought in the war, came back, and they let them back into colleges. These grown-ass men. And they ain't say nothing about the records not counting, because I want to say Blanchard and Davis went back-to-back in the Heismans. Like 46, 47, some shit like that. I figured it was folks think basket manip started. Oh, okay. Let me finish. Okay, so basket manipulation. The first time I think a game was 1969. The next season, 69-70, Jerry West heaves one from half court. Can't remember if they were in New York and LA. I want to say they were in New York though, and that was probably the second time it was used. But at least the second time that you can pin in that season that it was used. Now, was it used before then? Very well could have been. It ain't a lot. For them games wasn't taped. Them games been lost. Now, then you have to pretty much jump to the 1985 college season. This is when the system was fully utilized for the first time on the national level. And I'm pretty sure it was the same system that both were going to use. I'm pretty sure. I think they wanted to test it out, and I think they thought it would be more believable testing out the system on a college game. And as a team, Villanova shot something like 72%. A dude who was a 2-4, didn't hardly play, Scott Jensen, ended up being the most valuable player of the game, outstanding player, whatever you call it. And he hit 7 threes. They shoot 70-some% from the floor. So that was the first game where you see the system in full work. Hey, Sean, smoking, what's happening? So I'm sure that's the first time. I'm pretty sure that's the first time that the system was used. And then the Michael Jordan shrug game was the first time we see it on a national schedule, even though it's probably used before then during the season. But when we see it on a national pronounced schedule, was the Jordan shrug game. And again, he shot what that night? High 60s and threes. Normally was what? High 30s. Never a great three-point shooter. So we see it then, and that's 87. So, so that's when the system was put into use. But tonight was a mocking. Let me see how long I'm going. I ain't gonna go too long. Tonight was a clear mocking. Larry came from Penn State. Yeah, where Joe Paterno, right, turned their heads when said that. Oh man, underage boys. And I had wrote a joke about Sandusky, like compared to the towel dude or assistant, whatever, the young dude who caught Sandusky in the shower. They said that dude went and called his dad and told his dad about the story. But I told the joke where if it would have been a brother, the brother walk in the bathroom and see Sandusky, be like, God damn, Sandusky, what is you doing with that boy? And the next thing you would hear was, That's the difference between if it had been a brother. If the brother would have walked in on Sandusky, the brother would have whooped his ass regardless of what child he had. The brother would have whooped his ass. Larry Bird 3-point 86 was legit. I can't disagree. They're saying Larry's shooting so well. I can't really disagree because I'm not saying dudes can't shoot. Yeah, I'm not saying dudes can't shoot because dudes can shoot. I'm not saying dudes can't shoot in NBA games. Larry can shoot. I even want to go off on this and say that Larry really, his greatness is really not appreciated. They really thought Christian Laettner was going to be another Larry. They really had it going, like you went from Jordan to Kobe. They really thought Christian Laettner was the tie from Larry. That is why they built him up. I mean, a lot of times they tear them college stars down really quick, but they really thought that was going to be the transition. And Laettner couldn't set up his own shots. He had to be fed. Not a heavy ball handler, never developed any kind of outside shot. Very, very good rebounder, but not Larry. I mean, Larry could play 2, 3, or 4. He could play any of the forwards. Like, remember when Dr. J retired, Dr. J was playing 2 because Dr. J is only 6'5", 6'6". He was switched to a 2, but his whole career he played 3 at 6'6". And Dr. J, you look at him and Jordan, Dr. J was taller. That's why Jordan ain't quite 6'6". Dr. J was taller than him. There's a picture of them. One picture, they're like pulling their shorts down together. And then the next picture, they standing up. And you see Dr. J is a little taller than Jordan. And I've said before, my friend Tyrone, 6'8", and him and Jordan took a picture. Shit, he looked about 3 inches shorter. I mean, Tyrone is like a head bigger than him. You know, if you 6'6" and you 6'8", you know, it's just a little bit. What did somebody say? Leitner was good in college, though. Brother, will you beat the brakes off the Sandy T? I don't know what that is. Oh, the mocking today was the Tom Brady 30 for 30. Yeah. Yeah, Caesar. 81. Come on. 81 game, and they try to put like that's on Jalen. Now, I've been at games where people have scored 80 points. I've been at a bunch of games where people scored 50. But the game I refed, I told the dude had like 35, 36 at halftime. And I'm like, the record is 50. You should beat the record. And he out-hustled everybody. He only made 10 threes. Like the dude I saw score 81, and this brother's now with us. But this dude only made 10 threes. The rest of them was layups. He was getting all the rebounds. And this is, again, you know, semi-pro game, but he put it on him. He scored 81. Now, Kobe, you know, had help. Kobe had help. You know, yeah, that's Len Bias is such a. I guess the gematria, you could look at it like, did it happen? Was it a fake story? But it appeared to be a real story. And people don't forget that his brother Jay was murdered outside a mall. It was a dude named Jay Bias, his brother. It was a little younger. Matter of fact, they tried to get him to go to Maryland. He hooped, but he got his brother Jay Bias got killed outside of a shopping mall, probably in his mid-20s. Don't know why. No, I mean, the masses believe in all this. You know, the masses really do. They believe in all this. But it's like we're talking to children, you know. If you look at how people are raised on TVs, you are raised and taught to believe your teachers. And your teachers pass the news propaganda that is put out there. I mean, there are current events that reach every level of children. So you're programmed to think this is all believable. I mean, you support your high school, it's us against them. We got you guys. You go to college, it's us against them. And then wherever you settle, it's the same thing. And if you've celebrated your high school, you celebrate your college. And as I've said before, it's people that only get news from sports. They really do. They only get news from sports. That is why the PSYOP is so big in sports, because they know this part. They know only people. You know, people look at the sport as a religion. It almost becomes a religion. It's replaced. Football has replaced men. It's replaced church on Sunday for men. Churches would let them out. I know Michigan football games is you know, they on Eastern time, so the church would get out by 12:30. So football won. I looked up scripted sports out of curiosity, and I clicked off, and the first thing passed on recommendation was a video of every Steve Curry 3 from last season. Probably coincidence. That is funny. That is funny. Yep. Then I think like that same season, his last game. I think that same season, his last game, it was like a Mason number. Oh. Well, I'll say this. I'll say this. As I was saying earlier, you know, you watch that 30 for 30 and you do see the rise of New England because New England is playing in the championships. You know, they was making it to the championship games, and I watched it. I watched it happen. Remember, they drafted Jim Plunkett in the early 70s, but they didn't give him a team around him. And then Plunkett ended up winning Super Bowls, at least one Super Bowl with the Raiders. But Plunkett was a solid quarterback, and they never put the team around him. Then Kraft bought I want to say Kraft bought it before 85, but I could be wrong. But then Kraft bought it. But you could see that it was stepping up. Because remember, Bill Belichick, the ex-coach for the Bill Parsegans, who Belichick worked for, he coached the Patriots first. He took the Patriots to a Super Bowl. I think they lost the Super Bowl against the Packers. And didn't Charles Woodson win one then? Didn't he? Wasn't he on that Green Bay team? Wasn't Woodson on that Green Bay team that won the Super Bowl? I think he was. I mean, I could be wrong. I was seeing a highlight, and I saw Greg Jennings on it. And let me tell you about Greg. Now, Greg has always wore his hair pretty close. And he was on Fox the other day. Maybe speak for yourself. And he's got the box up with the, twist up top. The standard lace front or whatever you want to call that man wig. I was like, wow. Who did Brett Favre beat in his Super Bowl? Atlanta? No, he couldn't have beat Atlanta. Denver? No. Denver beat them. I don't know. I'd have to look it up off the top. I can't think. Looks better than this. The fraud. Falcons? No, Green Bay. The Falcons. Falcons in the NFC too, though. So there's no way they could play in the Super Bowl against each other. Not Green Bay and the Falcons. They both in the NFC. That never worked. That's a coincidence. You know what? I was like reading off one of my numbers. I was reading off one of my numbers and I saw 42 in it. I kind of laughed. One of my insurance cards. I was reading that shit. I was like 4-2. I was like, look at this shit. That a lot of times it seems like correlations will happen regardless. For example, my first name equals 42 in gematria. Yeah, that could. I mean, it's not saying there are coincidence. It's, as I'm saying, it's the organic part that probably is on the fray, on the fringe. It's like an organic part that's almost will slide back and forth from one to the other. So, I mean, that's something as the fluid movement of, especially like now, if you think it's the mind, it controls this shit, it moves. You study this and you say, well, this works with this old being. As I said the other night, that's what it is. You got this AI and there's the old beings that merged a long time ago. And it took the advantage of natural phenomena that this machine could produce. And supposedly they've had a fight over this machine. So this is what we're up against. We're up against that. And I was saying is that they can send a wave back in the past. They can send waves into the future. Brett Favre is a joke. Yeah, he was the most note on drink champs. He talking that 42 bullshit. John Collins. So just I guess recognize the trickery. Just to like peep out books. I'm from the Midwest, and so trying to understand how like my family end up in the Midwest when my third greats both came from the East Coast. Like what forced them to go to Indiana and then later Michigan. And so this book is called Tecumseh and the Prophet. Now remember, they tried to steal the name of Tecumseh in Tecumseh Sherman, the World War II, or excuse me, the Civil War general. So they try to claim these names, just like Ford probably still owns the name Pontiac when this was a real person. So Tecumseh's War is roughly 1840s, 1850s, compared to the 1770s, 1780s. But anyway, Pontiac's War was years before, like 60 years before. But what's funny about this picture is there's pictures of this dude. There are pictures of him. He don't look nothing like this. He's like a dark brother, very dark brother. And they show his missing eye, but they have a picture of his brother. I mean, photography, what, the first pictures, 1830s, 1840s, somewhere. Drew Bledsoe got knocked out conveniently, which led to Tom Brady, billionaire playboy working for the NFL, take over for the New England Patriots. Yeah. And Bledsoe, I showed a video where Bledsoe gets hurt on purpose. I mean, they did that hit to take him out. And I've showed over and over again players that they hit to hurt. And that's part of the NFL. I mean, they hurt Gale Sayers on purpose. Not only did they destroy, I think at first, his right knee, he came back and led the league in rushing, and they broke his other knee. And he still tried, but didn't have it anymore. But it's interesting that is a reality, and the players know. Players know. I mean, hell, they used to be able to, one dude could block you high, and then another dude could come and clip you really basically and just hit that knee and do whatever damage hit that knee does. That shit, that rule probably just 10 years they got rid of it. So you can no telling how many people they killed, they hurt and stopped playing. Green Bay beat New England. Yeah, Bledsoe. I was just saying that. Yeah, Bledsoe with Bill Parcells. Whoops. Oh yeah, absolutely with that too. That is, I'll say if even though I think the Tartarian shit is racist, one thing that it kind of shows, without relics, they really don't have a great understanding of old history. And as we're seeing how much relics from the Americas was pushed out and stolen, because remember, one time, a lot of what they tried to say is there was no written language, no records of land. And we know this is a lie because look at all the burning they did in South America. And it was a guy, I want to remember which World Fair it was, that had went around America and had showed Indian land. He had plotted it. He had showed all the land that the Europeans agreed to in treaties and what the Indians had. And they would not let him show that to the world. But there was a guy that had all that information. So Bledsoe had a lacerated lung or spleen. Yeah. Never played really good again. Hey, Eternal Life, thank you. So that's what it was. They had to get rid of him to put Brady in. Because remember in when they played Pittsburgh, Brady went down for a series or two, and Bledsoe came in and threw a touchdown. I don't know if people remember that. I want to say that was against Pittsburgh. He came in and played a couple downs, and he threw a touchdown. Kind of helped them win. But yeah, if Brady is called fumbling that play, there's no Brady. No Brady. Oh, but anyway, this book is Tacoma. Just Tacoma and the Prophet. And I found another book talks about conquistadors that they hired when they came here that worked for them. Because you had that too. People hated the Aztecs so much. It's hard to say. It really is hard to say what the Aztec did. But when you kill lots of people, of course you gotta justify. One thing, that book I'm reading, it says that I guess 1780s maybe, they were saying that there was 2 million Europeans in America, and there was less than 60,000. They're trying to tell you original Americans. You see how they skew and lie to numbers? And they try to tell you they got everybody sick. And that's just some made up shit too. Not to say a lot of people didn't, but because my ancestor, they called him Black George, or George No Nose, because his pox took his nose. He survived it. And pox ate his nose off. So they called him George No Nose, or Black George. Yep. Brady technically played 20 seasons. He didn't nearly play his first year, and he missed all of 208 because he tore his leg. Yeah. On a torn MCL. Yeah. I think they hurt him on purpose too. His hit, that low hit, and then they got rid of that rule. But Tony Limaguso, whatever his name was, that played for the Ravens, he hurt Gannon like that, or whatever, the Raiders quarterback. He hurt two people like that. But I remember he did Gannon like that. It was just like he was right there and he just dove into that knee. And Gannon was like the MVP for the Raiders. That was another year they got screwed by that late dirty hit. Same way Brady, and that's why they took that out the game. So yeah, that's yeah. He didn't hardly play that her first year. Shit, when they was what? When he came in, they was probably 10-3. So game 13 out of 16 back then, right? Tony Siragusa, yeah. Tony Siragusa, yeah. Remember, they gave him a job after that for a couple years. They gave that no personality having thing. They kept him on TV. Remember, they did him like that, made him be on not the sideline. He had to stay at a board. So they did the same thing to him they did to Booger McFarland. Remember, they had Booger McFarland in a little chair going in front, paying customers can't see and shit because there's this big old dude with this TV screen. Woo. And they done paid, hundreds for their tickets. They had good seats, and these people wasn't happy. But they did Saragusa like that. Ben Franklin talked about there's too many swatty people in America and Europe. Yeah. I mean, when they like who was it? Was it someone showed a paper on how the Jewish faith people were first connected to brothers and sisters. Look at all the civil rights. Look at who, I've said this before. If you look at really which business got burned out of black neighborhoods first, it was Jewish faith peoples. That's some of the early riots. They were some that suffered from being burned out of the neighborhoods. If you look at some of those kind of riots in places that was targeted, that is one thing and it was always a strong, I mean, when everything was segregated, it was a strong community. I mean, I remember that community. Hey, Yobo. He was with Fox for a little minute, yeah. Do you think yeah, I could say somewhat. Yeah, Buffett. The way they sent Brown, and they was trying to give Brown a message, and so, or it's football, and again, it's easy to fake knockouts. It's easy to fake that kind of thing, but it looked physical, so could be. But a lot of times they try to give people messages. Yeah, I mean, it's, they got all the way that Lance Armstrong and them was doing it, just shooting your blood around, replacing your blood. But Brady, I mean, if you really looked at it, what they was aiming for Brady was really to make another Jordan. As Jordan's career blossomed, they look at that at marketing, we need a Jordan. That is why they like having the dynasties. That's why Steph, and they love it. But Boston won 8 years in a row. Do you understand? Boston won from like 60 to 68, 69. So this is what the league is. The league always have been this. I mean, hell, they let New York win in what, 71 and 75? Or yeah, maybe 71 season, yeah. Or 70, 74. No, one of those. So that's the NBA for you. And the NFL ain't real different. I mean, they that old money like to keep getting paid too. They got more invested in the league. Hey, what's up, the Mac? Hey, there he is. What's up? Wow, that's a good question. Because the replacing, if you look at the replacing of, the American-born players, they definitely wanted a 50%, 15%. And I know I say that, and people like, I don't know if they really get it, but that is the goal, to make the league 15% from somewhere else and 50% from both. That's what they want to get it down to. And one day it's going to be greater than. I mean, Africa has had leagues for years, but very low leagues. Now the NBA putting their money around it because they can get tall dudes that's dark skinned. That's what the American is used to seeing. I mean, you look at some of these dudes' story, Hakeem. I mean, what is the chances? These dudes go to college and ain't even hooping. Not really. Dudes ain't really can hoop. Hakeem played soccer, had a little good balance. But other guys don't get these chances. Other guys just don't get the chances. Is my thing. But that's what they're shooting at. That's what they shoot. Luka had a good game. They embarrassed him though too. So much money on Super Bowl 42. 1K on the pass to win by 10. The Giants won by 30. But I was mad. Oh, I've made some killings on games through the years. I made some killings. When I lived in North Carolina, the Super Bowl, the most money I ever made was that Super Bowl with the Raiders and the Redskins. And I'm in North Carolina, and everybody down there before the Panthers was Redskin fans. Everybody. And I just killed them. I made thousands that week. I bet everybody and their mom I work with. And, we bet all the time because, again, we see each other when we get paid. So it's like, but I killed them with that Super Bowl. Knicks last championship was in 70 and 73. Yeah, 73. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Yep. And I don't think the Knicks going to even make it this year. But they just, and that goes back to the Super Bowl. Again, the possibilities and see how much they weigh away from each other is, okay, so the Rams was a new team and the Rams was allowed to win. Is this, again, saying the new team, so we're going to let this new team come in? That is possible. But just the history of the NFL tends not to like new teams to win it. So that would be my only 4.5 points against that team. I don't know if I would take that. I think I'm definitely going to take the over and under 4.5. I don't know. Hard one to look at. As we get closer, our Knicks will be a powerhouse soon. We'll see. International players be MVP conversation, be Ghana's. And the last two MVPs. I mean, you threw Westbrook in there a couple years. And if you think, all you got to do is look at Westbrook's triple doubles, and they show somebody put them on there where you see his teammates block out people so Westbrook can get the ball. Not we blocking out, we going to get the ball. No, let's block out so Westbrook can get the ball. And that's how he got them triple doubles. Oscar didn't have that. Where they was letting him, helping him. They helped him. Oscar didn't have that. So I don't look at what he did as, and I mean, why would the Lakers pay that dude $40 million? And I ain't pocket watching, but I'm just saying on a practical scale, you've had film on this dude the last few years. He has not been productive. Hell, I watched the game yesterday. In the first half, he had 3 or 4, or if not 5 turnovers. He had, within 3 minutes, he had a turnover a minute. So it's positive when he come on, it is not there. So I don't know why. I do not know why they put Westbrook in. It just makes no sense. He don't play D. And LeBron moves his feet. Russ was also stealing rebounds from Steven Adams. Yeah, that's what yeah, exactly. They was boxing out for him, and they wouldn't go after the ball. These young dudes want to start a new wave. Way better than NY. Ball game, put together books, placing bets. And they end up losing power, though. Dirk in 07 was Hakeem. Yeah. Can y'all hear that shit? This motherfucker's eating, making noises like a grown-ass man. Shit, pass me one of them cornbreads. Yeah, this is a good one. Again, Dirk was given chances people weren't given. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day. Think about this with Dirk. What is the chances that Dirk got to play against the Dream Team? I think twice. He got to scrimmage against them once or twice, at least once. But I want to say he got to scrimmage against them twice. So you think that's a normal person? You bring the strongest basketball group ever. And do you think that it ain't up and coming who they got their eye on? Like Luka's whole career was under the eye of the NBA. I mean, you don't you see the NBA was like, put him in the top league at 13. They gamble on children. They look at the way children, they look at their parents. 13, he playing with men, one of the top leagues over there. Because, they don't have high school. They have straight pro. They do not have high school. They have straight pro. NBA been there. This is how this kind of stuff started over there. When they first went over there to recruit tall Europeans, because, the NBA, the Globetrotters put basketball over in Europe. They needed players. So they helped them put it together in initial years. NBA did this. Let people go over there and work. Coaches. You see a lot of these coaches, Avatoni, I'm messing names up. But you see all these old coaches the last 10, 20 years have had experience over there. And I'm talking about all the way from Spain to Israel, up into England, Germany, Russia. I mean, they put this thing everywhere. Czech Republic. I mean, all these places they put hooping in. Sweden, Denmark. And I kind of went on a tangent, but the reason I brought that up, they would see a tall, like say they would be out and they would see like a tall police officer. They would try to find out or follow that police officer and ask if he had any children. And there was one dude that was 6'8". His wife was over 6 foot. And then they started training the children. I don't know the name of the family. But this is the kind of thing they did. Yeah, they're big on shaming a person to reintroduce them. Haven't seen Burrow in commercials, so this may be the introduction to the other side by winning the Super Bowl. I don't see them marketing Stafford. That's a good point. That's a real good point. Neither one of them really. No. More Brady. Well, we saw Brady the last 3-4 days. It was two things. Brady came on this was the 30 for 30, and then the next thing was about Brady, his first season. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. I'm saying the spell. Oh my goodness. LeBron be stat padding too. Yeah, he does. But all players do. All players do. That ain't nothing new. Should I dunk one in high school? Freaking cherry picking. Didn't run up court, stayed at half court. Jimmy caught it and did a straight up jump stop and just completely like all the chest over the rim. Boom! Dirk two later, Guinness, the one in the finals. Okay. Both international players, yeah. Lakers, Sixers, Max. What's this? I lost big in the Lakers Clippers game again in the Sixers Mavs. How to rebound and guard. I watch a lot of hockey, and it's just funny. One of the things they say is to win and be successful, all you got to do is put pucks on the net. And all of them say it. It's just funny listening to the different accents. Pucks on the net. I've been out to lunch on hockey for years. I have watched hockey since a little boy, and I will tell on myself. I've watched hockey since a boy. I've been going to games since I was very young. Went to high school games because my high school had a hockey team. We used to fight. If they fought on the grounds, we would fight the other team. And I never noticed until the last 10 years on the way they substituted. If somebody would have asked me in college how they substituted, I couldn't have really told them. And I grew up watching hockey, and I never watched that part. And I watched the college play. I watched we had the Kalamazoo Wings. But yeah. I used to lose bets and beat up dudes in college, bet them, and then they'd want money, and they'd fight me, and I'd have to whoop their ass. But like a lot of international players, went to college in America. Embiid though didn't play. He played like in the season. He didn't play in the tournament that year. I think his only year at Kansas. He stayed out of the tournament. Probably has something to do with drafting. Oh, definitely for Candace. I mean, Candace. It's hard to not look at Candace and think she's like Brittany Griner. I mean, it really is. Big hands, big feet, long neck. I mean, it's just. I can't say everybody is, but it just looks. I don't know. Yeah, Luka played with grown men as a boy. Yeah, it's not uncommon. I mean, basketball, you get good early. I mean, that is a phenomenon that is hard to explain. You can see boys that have size or even size and speed get good at 13, 14, where they can play a men. I mean, they really can. And you got 17-year-olds that could play with anybody in the world. I know when I was 17, I could play with anybody in the world. And I got to play in some of the tournaments and a little bit in the summer times, playing against pros, playing against college players, because something unbeknown to me was dudes like playing with me. From a very young age, if I'd be in gyms, dude would come over to them gyms to play with me. And I didn't really catch that till years later. I had one of my cousins that was a fairly good high school player, played a little college, but I remember he came to where I was just to hoop against me. And we never played again. And that was just some half court. And he was in decent shape then. But it was like, you can play, you draw people. People want to play with you. Kobe was groomed to Nate Thurman. I definitely think Nate Thurman and LeBron, there's too many similarities. I think like him wearing a wig part is to throw off that look of how he looked like Nate Thurman. I really do. I mean, the build and everything is really the same build. It is. Otto Porter looks like Wilt Chamberlain. I'd have to look at him closer because Wilt didn't have any children. He slept with supposedly 10,000 women or more, and he didn't have any children. What is the odds of that back in the 60s? How was he perfect every time? I don't believe that shit. Dame Dollar had stomach surgery, I think it is. Like he pulled something. I don't think he like got a hernia or nothing. I think it was more deep, worse, worse than that. But I'll check Porter out. But that's what happened to Dame. Dame's hurt. Nate played for the Warriors, and Nate's jersey number was 42. And Nate played with Cleveland. He finished with Cleveland. That's why he was in Cleveland in years. He finished with Cleveland. But Nate played a year with Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain played with them in the finals. Yeah, the Warriors beat. No, Sixers beat the Warriors. Yeah. Or would that have been the Warriors? Yeah, they would have had to have been the Warriors then. They'd have been the Sixers, I guess. No. Well, Chamberlain played for the Warriors. So something there I'm not getting right. Go watch Hartford Whalers till they took them away. Oh, used to go see. Yeah, I'm a big Wild fan. I don't miss like I was saying with all the Timberwolves games being on TV. All the Wild games are on TV. All the Wild games are on TV. So I got a bunch of Wild gear. I love hockey jerseys. I mean, I really love wearing hockey jerseys. Hockey jerseys are sweet to wear because they're like sweaters. They're big sweaters, and you got the pants ties. The real hockey jerseys come with the pant. Because the shirts buckle into the pants. Like a big sweater. I've always loved every kind of uniform though. Football uniforms, baseball uniforms. Never been crazy about basketball uniforms because they're so in the summer. So never been a big basketball uniform, jersey fan. Basketball gear ain't as good either, I don't think. Hey, Mr. Lamborghini. Yeah. I mean, what's his name? Bobat. Bobat playing the NBA. I don't really know all the players in the NFL to say, but I'm sure there is. I mean, we got these people these people want to be famous. They want to be famous. And so they act on TV, they act in the movies. I would dare say some of them probably do commercials if that's all that energy can draw in. It is, it's a weird phenomenon. It's like Paul Mooney said. Everybody wants to be a nigga, but nobody wants to be a nigga. It's almost like what Paul Mooney said. They want to be like us, but yet they don't like us. But yet they want to do shit we do. Now, what kind of shit is that? They want to do human shit, but they don't like humans. LeBron, and his birthday is actual. Before Thurman died. Yeah, I remember that. I think Zach was even rocking back at that period. Then I'm going to say LeBron, Curry, Steph, and Thurman was all born in, I think, the same hospital. I mean, shit. Thurman had to be 70 years older than LeBron and Curry. He was shit. Nate Thurman was way older than me by probably 20 years. He was probably older than my mother. So Nate Thurman was probably born in the late 20s, early 30s, I'm guessing. Oh, no one didn't know about that part? I put it up there. Yeah. That definitely is. I mean, it's been like that. That's how all of them have always run. Even hockey. I've always said I like the hockey script. But, there's a hockey game, as I said this the other night, I would keep saying this. There's a hockey game you can see, I think, from the 95 season where the dude catches it in the air and throws it in the net and raises his hand. And what is the odds that none of the officials saw it? And it helped that team win. And I think it's from that Barry Melrose dude that be on ESPN. It was a game he played in back in the 90s, I think. It was either 85, 95. But dude catches it and throws it in the net, raises his hand. Hey! And none of the refs catch it. And they didn't have, review then. They didn't have replay. Our lives are even scripted to a certain extent. Oh, of course, baseball. I mean, Ken Burns you watch his baseball special, and they kind of show you the players started baseball. It was really very much a player-driven game. The players controlled it. The owners, like what the players would say is, come play a couple with us. We either split or we win both games, and we'll go to your place, and we either split or you win both games. I mean, this was kind of how they kept baseball popular. Everybody come out to see the home team win. The home team wins, everybody feels good. And one thing baseball did not have was owners. And so the owners put bad PR about the players fixing the game because the players were in charge instead of the owners. And really that, like Ty Cobb talks about, all from 1910 to up to the Black Sox one, that all the World Series was scripted. He said definitely the ones he played in, which I think he played in 11, 12, 13, something like that. Then somewhere in there, Babe Ruth won for Boston. But Ty Cobb talked about all of them being scripted from that far back, over 100 years ago, for baseball. So, of course, all of them, all the leagues. I mean, yeah, our life is scripted. I mean, work is slavery. I mean, unless you like what you work, but we're one of the few species that have to pay where we live. You have to pay for to live. You have to pay for a house. So, you can go out there and make your own food. It takes a lot of effort and land and dirt. You got to grow a lot to feed yourself. Yeah, this is Acid 1400. I like the sweet cigars. I don't like them. I just eat on them. Soothes the throat. Keeps from having dry mouth. But yeah, I don't like them. Very rarely would I like one. Yeah, Young Weezer. You think 90% think the players aren't in on it? Everybody don't need to know. That's the thing. That's the part of analytics. Everybody don't need to know. Like I look at my video I do where the Chicago Bear player, and before they took away my channel, I had a much better play. But I have a play. Well, I did a play this year where the receiver is running or has the ball and running. The defensive player is about to tackle him, and his own player knocks him away. His own player not only knocks him away, grabs his face mask and kind of slams the guy. The guy was out of that game for sure. But I've showed other plays, my other channel, where I had a play where you clearly see where the defender blocks and knocks his own man out the way. So the player that got his face mask and got slammed to the ground, did he know? No, everybody don't need to know. Until you get to certain levels of the NFL, you're not going to really know. Because, as I said, watch Devon Miller fumble, and in the very next play, they give it right back to him. Because Devon Miller fumble of Stafford probably wasn't supposed to happen. When you see them quick turnovers like that, when they give it right back, that was an accident. And so they correct it. I mean, analytics are putting bigger on slower, weaker on stronger. I mean, every play, it is a penalty. The offensive line holds every play. Now the defenders, one thing we noticed in the early games, like when the pass interference, you were seeing more jersey pulling, more around the waist. You could see that that's a technique. That holding technique is something they teach. Watch when they hold, the way they grab the jersey, the way they grab them around the waist. I mean, I've never noticed any level I've ever played at, I've never noticed that kind of holding taught. But to see it uniformly among NFL DBs, that's taught now. That holding technique is taught because every play could be holding. I mean, shit, if you hold 10 times a game and they only call it once, what is it? 100 and some plays? So, I mean, everybody don't really need to know. I mean, what do linemen know? Linemen will be in different shifts and different blocking patterns against the defense that's perfect to defeat it. So do they need to know? No, the defense is going to be perfect for the play. That's kind of how they set it up. As I said, it's an egghead dude sitting in the room. You know, he got all the matrix screens and shit. You know, he's like making them decisions. And he loves the Super Bowl because it's just one he can concentrate on. Just one screen. And he's concentrating on that one screen. So, oh, what time is it? Oh, just the superstar players? I don't know. I've watched games where I could see where secondary players seem to have an idea of the script too. Like Clarkston, I think is was sixth man of the year with Utah. Remember when he got traded? How did they do that? They traded all the Lakers. Remember the Lakers traded all them people to Cleveland, and Clarkston was one. And, you know, he's running down the court with he hits a three and he knows he's on national TV, you know, LeBron, and he's sticking his tongue out. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, look at this. Look at this. Would you think Tim Duncan actively wanted to destroy the NBA reputation? Donahue didn't ruin the reputation. What is Donahue's main point that you should have got if you read his book? His main point was the dirtier official, the dirty you were as official was how you got your rise in the NBA. That is what Donahue's main point, if you read his book, is the dirtier you were, the more you rose up. He brings that up several times. So destroy, he was never in any means of destroying the league. I mean, the league has been said about this several times. So they've got it covered. They got excuses. The Magnus thing, like you asked about the grip gloves. I'm sorry I didn't answer that question about the grip gloves. The grip gloves and the traction, the David Kyrie, is that his name? When he caught the ball with the helmet, you can see the attraction in the helmet. You can see as he gets to control the ball, something kind of attracts there. And so that appears to be an early part of their system. I still think there's attraction in the shoulder pads, even probably lightly in the jerseys, because it'd be easy to put metals in either one, especially attractive metals. But the commercial I saw has to be about 3 years old now, where they show the plain ball. Like I've said before, the first commercial I saw was it was bend them like Beckham ball. I forget the real name of the ball, but that's what they was calling the ball. The ball was that's what they were showing. They were showing how you could kick the ball and it would bend them like Beckham. The ball would curl. And then the very next commercial showed one football glove that attracted a ball. As long as you wore the one glove, you would attract the ball. Again, this was more aimed at children. And then I think Lorenzo sent me a video, and others have sent me the video showing the actual high school company, or not but the company that put the magnets in the ball, had the people try the gloves and showing how it helped them. So we see that we see that they use it. We see that they use it. And when you see drop balls, that's a mocking. They drop the balls to say, see, we can't catch every ball. And that is definitely scripted. They know not to catch it. As I said about the Super Bowl, and like we look at what would have hurt Joe Montana. That Super Bowl Cincinnati was in, where Cincinnati had him beat. This dude named Phillips, I believe was his name. He had the interception right to him. Montana did a bad read, and dude was in the end zone. That's game. Now, one thing I saw in the 30 for 30, Gruden had a 3rd and 1. They didn't quite get it, and he punted, and they was on the 50. He punted to get a ball back to Brady. Punted to give the ball back to Brady. Okay, so Gruden accepted the tuck rule, but then Gruden, with my cousin Tony's team, wins the Super Bowl with Tampa. With Brad Johnson. Wasn't it Brad Johnson, the quarterback? With Brad fucking Johnson. You talking about one of the worst quarterbacks ever. Uh, hmm. That's interesting. I want people to read that. That's pretty good. I feel like geometry, numerology, astronomy flow through the reality, and the elites know this and use it to their advantage. I would say so. I would say that it is like astrology. It is actually like when they say all your stars are lined up. I mean, that's a real thing. You've heard that. Well, all your stars, it's luck. Well, that's a thing. That's why they study this thing. They look at it was just like when they slowed time up, the way they could put Taurus to block the energy from the black sun or the central sun, whatever you want to call it. How this actually would slow everything. So of course, they've had these spells to do this kind of shit to their benefit. Look at this stuff. This stuff comes in and says the way you were born and the way the energy comes in, and that's almost like a type of magic too. It's like there's days where your magic will be stronger than other days. So if you follow things yourself, I don't know if Zach ever gets into that, where if Zach looks at himself, like he could even look at the way his book sales and things and the energy coming in on that. Like timing is so important to books, any kind of that type of entertainment. You got to have great timing. And so if the more you know about your personal timing and your personal energy and how everything vibes off of you, that's the way to be magical and be successful at the same time. Actors playing their roles, bleeding ground for Freemasons. Well, Harvard, Yale, those schools are for the CIA. Higher, darker societies to serve the Jesuits. And them peoples, though, too. You can't leave them out. Them peoples is running stuff just as much as the Jesuits. And I would dare say them people's got more power than the Jesuits. Because the Jesuits, to me, is the new name for the Illuminati. That's all. And it is like not even shout out egghead. I'm really hot. Michael Linebacker Smith was on Tampa Bay radio talk show when he said the game's not decided on the field. Yeah, they've been playing this a lot. Yep, they've been playing that a lot. But as I was saying, I opened with that. I was like, did he get pension or no? I'd be interested to know that. Did he make pension or no? Because he really wouldn't come right out and say it. What is it? That commercial is still on YouTube. There you go. What to catch like the pros? Okay, it's still out there. To catch like the pros. Okay, good. I imagine it was. Wow. AI. Well, I still say it's the mind. If you study it, and you look at Yabatha, Samuel, whatever you want to call it, Marduk, same kind of energy, and you look at the mind, you can see that it was some kind of technology gained years ago. I don't think a lot of this stuff is new. Brother Bomber says that, and I think he's right. I really do. As I pondered on that, it appears so. And again, if this thing was nanotechnology thousands of years ago, and again, it's hard to gauge how long ago. I mean, it really is. It's hard to gauge how long ago. So could a lot of this technology been around, and started whatever the wind up is of this. That's how I was like last week getting into free will as we practice it again, like you were saying, Masonic. Let me say, Boule is what you see in the black colleges, is you see the fraternities going to the higher level of the Boule, not necessarily going into being Freemasons. A lot of them are both, but a lot of them skip Freemasons and just go straight into the Boule. So, Technology been here ever since forever. They slowly leak it out over time. Well, yeah, and I've told my story before. My father worked at General Motors, and my brother and I, they had a Monte Carlo. We were young. I want to say I was still in elementary, so 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. And we sat in a 72, 73 Monte Carlo, and it had airbags. It was cut. I'm trying to think, maybe it was just the front end of a Monte Carlo. Now I remember right. It was a model. And we sat in a car in 73, 74, maybe even early 72, that had airbags on both sides. It had airbags going off on both sides. We sat in the car and they released airbags on us in the 70s. And when did we see them in cars? A single one? Not until like 82, 83, something like that. But it had been around. The technology had been around 10 years earlier. Like my mother used to work for Bell. Bell used to be the telephone system. And like they cheated people. The government let Bell cheat from people for so long by charging you a long distance fee for long distance calls, when it was no different for them to connect it to a local call. And in the early 60s, they had car phones. She said on her board, she had lines, she had lines, long distance and all that. But she said she also had a input for car phones, which it was that many calls, she said, that when that phone rang, that was a car phone. So of course, the military gets everything. The internet was done for the military. So that's nothing new. I mean, that's common sense. That's something common. Oh, tell you the things we do to continue our day. Well, I think I'm gonna go ahead and kill this now. I do have a super early morning, which is okay too. I welcome it. I look at the new day and say, oh yeah. Don't you guys like the commercial? He says, I look real good today. I look real good today. I look real good today. Let me make one. So Super Bowl deaths. So far, I only got Bill Fitch. Got to be more than that. But let me make I say, Bacchus Dionysus is the color of the Super Bowl, orange, but it could be Helios or even Sol. So maybe a little. So we have to see the way the energy comes in, but it appears it's going to be one or the other. And what's funny is, if it comes in as really the Bacchus, which it looks like as it is now, Jadis, Bacchus, the double, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because Sol and Helios really ain't. But it could. We'll see how it comes in and what it end up being. But that is the beast that's feeding, is the Dionysus, Helios, Sol. So. This is something that, I'm gonna definitely get into this. Now, I wear crystals. I wear crystals. I mean, I wear crystals. I hold crystals. I meditate with crystals. I use crystals for healing. But I see a certain type of use of crystals that makes me see that this use is corrupted. It really has been corrupted. And I'm not contradicting. I think there's a difference between wearing a necklace crystal and what I am seeing on the crystal bracelets and the combinations I'm seeing. A lot of evil people wear that compared to just necklaces. A lot of evil tend to, I look at the combinations they put together, and that has to be corrupted. Now, I have mentioned people I know that Shugite bracelets and such, I imagine one. But I see it as a practice. This is probably corrupted. The joining of the different combinations of the bracelets. Now, I was looking today, just some copper cuffs with magnets. That'd probably help. You have some magnets in you. Your feet hurt. Put some magnets in your feet. Gives a little bit of benefit. But yeah, I just look at the bracelets and the evil that wear these bracelets. It ain't always these good folks. There's a lot of evil people that wear this kind of thing. So I'm kind of like thinking maybe not on that. Maybe not. uh, Here's a thought for you. Like, if you look at yourself and you look at the day and you kind of look at how the steps that it takes to kind of master some things. And, you know, tarot really gets into that because remember, you each will start as the fool. And there's a saying, the intelligent fool or the drunken monkey. You know, the drunken monkey, the intelligent fool, the drunken monkey. But the intelligent fool, you know, remember the fool carries in his bag. You know, it used to be a saying, that ain't my bag. And, you know, what it says is, even though you the fool, you got everything in the bag you need. That's another, it's a confidence if you look at the fool. He got his bag, and there's everything in the bag. Remember there was a cartoon where Mug would just pull out everything. Well, that's kind of how it is. That's in the fool's bag. And when you go into things with that confidence, you know, you become the intelligent fool. And that's what a lot of it is confidence. Yeah, I think that's about all the notes I had. Just giving out those positive vibrations. I got to do the tuning forks again. Yeah, we got another full moon. I missed the last one last month. I was a little ill. But I won't miss it this month. Put out some high vibrations because sports is a big part of it. And because I represent the Hero Twins, I go in with how they corrupt this and how it needs to stop, because it is an evilness to it. Like, we're about to help celebrate the most evilest ritual of the year by far. There's nothing even comparatively. We have showed this ritual where up to 20 people get killed in this 2-week period. And all 20 people are related to sports and entertainment. I think it was 17. I mean, it's got so bad where before, all the people at least died before the Super Bowl. I think when the Eagles, I've said this many times, I think when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, a football player died almost immediately as it was over. And then the basketball couple, husband and wife, ex-basketball player, got killed that night. And it was like 20 some people in 2 weeks. I mean, all these colors, the pageantry, there's nothing positive about it. It is a spell put over the whole country. What does CJ, I think, said that they get Monday off. You know, they've been pushing this for 20 years. It should be the holiday, because the Super Bowl is a holiday. I mean, going to the stores during the Super Bowl, you think it ain't a holiday? Ain't nobody nowhere. Everybody's at parties watching the game. And I watched this thing as it moved. First Super Bowl party I think I went to was 70. Yeah, because 75, when Washington won, my uncle my uncle cooked. It was Saturday or Sunday. Sunday, he just cooked. He didn't cook for the Super Bowl. I was by myself eating a big bowl of chili, and they didn't care. They just let the games on. Sunday, the games be on, and they didn't care. I knew it was like, I'm watching this Super Bowl. I got this big bowl of food. But 76, I made another lick. My dad took me to all his friends. All of them is, you know, Lions, Vikings fans, and I'm a Raider fan, and all them people bet me. And I hit them for about 200-300. Yeah. Yeah, they was mad too. These old dudes was mad. Oh, they was mad. They was mad. But yeah. So it's and you know, me watching, analyzing, I'm part of the ritual too, no doubt. So I can't get away from that either. Well, my final words are going to be Mora, and Mora is more of a phrase. It all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact numbers of years and days. before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. The civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent. And as I close, move through the vibration, remember, I am another yourself. And that's a very old Mayan saying. I am another yourself. So, what does that have to do with sports? 9 people killed. I mean, they committed murders. By killed, I mean they committed murders. I didn't read that. 9 Crips killed in the streets of LA two days ago. Wow. Colors. Wow. Okay. Wow. What's the margin of that number? Wow. 9 people killed. Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, as I was saying, if you look at Bacchus or Solus, if you look at that, the beast who's feeding, this beast is putting out the most energy it puts out all year. And so this beast has to have blood. This is high blood ritual because it's putting out the most energy for this thing. Yes, it's getting fed, but on the other hand, it is expanding this thing. And the only way this beast can expand this thing and make this thing on everybody's mind. So this is their biggest spell day as well. So for it to do this, it needs blood. That's all. 2-4. Okay, on 2-4. Wow. 2-4. I don't know if we can count them. It's got to be today. I don't know. I'll look at it. Maybe might be able to count them on the 2-4. Wow. Wow. That's horrible news. You said on 2-4. Okay. Let me look that up. Because we count from Sunday to Sunday. Well, no, it's within the 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's definitely counted. Yeah, it's within the 2 weeks. Yeah. So I'm going out to lunch. Well, this is Pontiac, and say less till we meet again. Say less.